Good morning, students. Today we are again starting with the lesson number 4 of political science, that is social and political movements. So last time we have seen just introduction, that is movement. Today we are going to see important movements in India. So what is the importance of movement? Why we have to go for the movement? So probably one of the most noted movement in Indian history, that is Satyagraha, which was brought thousands of people together in a peaceful way. The non-violence movement started by Mahatma Gandhi to send the Britishers back to their country and leave India free of foreign rule, and did eventually taste success. So in this first movement we are seeing today, that is tribal movement. So in the pre-independence period, the British government deprived tribal people of their right to livelihood on forest resources, and there was a tribal uprising in Kolam from Chota Nagpur, Gond from Orissa, Koli, Bhila and Ramoshi from Maharashtra, Santal and Munda from Bihar, and the tribal struggle has continued since those years. And tribals in India face several problems, and one of the major problem is that they are denied right over forest, and the main demand of the tribal movement is to accept their right over forest. So they should be allowed to collect products of forest and also should have a right to cultivate on forest. So this a social movement is a loosely organized effort by a large group of people to achieve a particular goal, and typically social or political one, and this may be carry out resist or undo a social change. So it is a type of a group action and may involve individuals, organizations or both. So next we are going to see, that is the farmers movement. So farmer movement in India is an important movement, and during the British period farmers started getting organized due to anti-agricultural policy of the British colonial government. So you must be aware, so you must be aware of farmers movement in Bardoli, Champaranya and movements against revenue collection. Revenue collection which we have seen in the 7th standard Shivaji Maharaj history. The farmers movement were inspired by the thoughts of Mahatma Phule, Justice Ranade and Mahatma Gandhi. Due to some reforms in agriculture, that is tenancy law, laws relating of tilting the land, etc., this everything we have learned in standard 7. The farmers movement slowed down after the green revolution. The farmers movement became more active and effective, though green revolution aimed at increasing agricultural production and achieving self sufficiency in food grains, and it did not benefit the poor farmers. The farmers were now divided into rich farmers and poor farmers. Here also there is a bifurcation, and dissatisfaction among the poor farmers led to the beginning of farmers movement. Obviously the rich farmer, poor farmer, so poor farmer will have to do something for their livelihood things. So appropriate price for the agricultural products, agriculture to be treated as an industry, implementation of recommendation of the Swaminathan Commission, debt relief, debt cancellation, national policy for agriculture are some of the demands of the farmer movement. शेतकरी संघटना, भारतीय किसान युनियन, ऑल इंडिया किसान सभा, they are some important farmers organizations in India. So next we are going to study, that is the trade union movement. Here you can see the some slides of the farmers movement. Next is a trade union movement. Now trade union movement. Before that, again for the farmers movement, I would like to tell you that peasant farmer movements mean peasant, that means farmer. So peasant movement in India arose during the British colonial period, when economic policies characterized in the ruin of traditional handicrafts, leading to change of ownership and overcrowding of land, misuse, debt and impoverishment of peasantry. And it is first started at Kisan Sabha movement in Bihar. This farmers movement first started at where? Kisan Sabha movement. It is in Bihar and under the leadership of Sahajananda Saraswati. So next we are going to see, that is the trade union movement. Now about trade union movement. Now the trade union is an association of workers forming a legal unit or legal personhood, usually called a bargaining unit, which acts as a bargaining agent and legal representative for unit of employees in all matters of law or a right arising from or in the administration of a collective agreement. Labor unions typically fund the formal organization, head office and legal team functions of the labor union through regular fees or union dues. And the delegate staff of the labor union representation in the workforce are made up of workplace volunteers who are appointed by members in a democratic election. So now trade unions are usually formed for the purpose of securing improvement in pay, benefit or working conditions or social and in political status through collective bargaining or by the increased bargaining power wielded by the banding of the workers. So now here there is one question, that can anyone be in a union? So by law any worker is allowed to join in a trade union, and your employer can't punish you for joining up. So equally, you don't have to join a union at all. If you don't want to, you can join any union and you are eligible for that. Usually it means any union that represents your industry. Now, trade union. So it is emerged in India in the background of industrialization. So textile industry, railway companies were established in India in the latter half of the 19th century. So in 1899, railway workers went on strike for their demands, and however, the first organization for resolving the issues of workers was established in 1920, and this organization is known as All India Trade Union Congress. In post-independence period, trade unions started working more effectively. In 1960s and 1970s, trade unions movement organized several agitations, but from 1980s trade union movement started getting disintegrated. So globalization has affected the trade union movement to the great extent. So in India, workers are facing different problem. Unstable employment condition means anytime the boss can remove you from your job. Contract labor, so means there is no security of the job, no permanent job. Contract, they may sign from you 1 or 2 years agreement, and you labors agreement. Next, financial insecurity means uh, this provident fund and all that, which is the your future security. It is financial security some companies are not giving. Absence of legal protection of workers, so there is no protection for the worker. If something happens, any accident happen or anything happen, there is no security. Unlimited working hours, suppose any company or any jobs at 9 hours, 8 hours, so there is no time limit. You have to work there 12 hours, 13 hours, means no time limit. Next is insecurity at the workplace, means always you have the fear in the mind, when my boss will remove me from the job, or any insecurity in your mind. Health hazards, if that job is in the industry, you have to do something, any hazardous means dangerous work, there can be the problem of your health. So that health issue, regarding the health policy or health issue, company is not responsible, you only have to responsible. So these are many problems comes in this trade union. These problems come under this movement. Next is women's movement. Now in the pre-independence period, progressive men, here you can see the trade union slide pictures. Now women's movement. In the pre-independence period, progressive men in India initiated women's movement. The women's movement aimed at eliminating injustice against women and ending their exploitation. Ending their exploitation helped them to lead a respectful life and participate actively in social life. ईश्वरचंद्र विद्यासागर, राजा राममोहन रॉय, महात्मा ज्योतिराव फुले, सावित्रीबाई फुले, महर्षी धोंडो केशव कर्वे, पंडिता रमाबाई रानडे, these all people took initiative in ending the practice of sati and child marriage reforms, such as widow remarriage, women education, and right to vote to women were possible due to the work of these reformists. Yes, today we can say the proudly that because of Savitri Bai Phule, all women are working, all women are earning like a men at the home. So uh, there is means it is a proud thing that because of her efforts and Mahatma Jyotirao Phule efforts, we are today, all ladies are standing proudly today. So, after independence, the constitution gave equal rights to women in all fields, and in spite of this, women were not treated equally in the several fields. During this period, women's movement aimed at freedom of women, and the movement demanded that women should be treated as human beings. And in the latter period, women participated to a great extent in the movement against corruption, caste discrimination, religious extremism, which made them aware of injustice against their own selves. Then women started taking initiative in organizing against injustice. In India, women's movement is not homogeneous in nature. However, women's movement at various levels are taking up issues like women's health, social security, financial independence, and empowerment. Right, today women's movement face the challenges of equal education for women and giving women a status and prestige as human beings. We are knowing that today women are standing where women's have reached that space everywhere. So really it is the today's women's facing the challenges, education for women and giving the women a equal status and prestige which we got today. Equally we are getting the equal prestige and we are treated as a human being. Some areas or somewhere it is happened that women are still they are not getting any prestige, or still they doesn't come out from their houses and all. So somewhere these things are there. So again we will repeat this topic. The feminist movement, that is women's movement, refers a series of political campaigns for reforms on issues such as reproductive rights, domestic violence, maternity leave, equal pay, women's suffrage, sexual harassment and sexual violence, all of which fall under the label of feminism and the feminist movement. And this movement's priorities vary means changing among the nations and communities, and range from the opposition to female genital mutilation is one country to opposition to the glass ceiling in another. Now the feminism in the parts of the western world has gone through three waves. First wave feminism was oriented around the station of middle or upper class white women and involved suffrage and political equality. And second wave feminism attempted to further combat social and cultural inequalities. This is all about women's movement. Next we are going to study environment movement. So we are aware that environmental degradation is a serious problem at national as well as international level. At the international level, several movements several movements are working to stop deterioration of the environment. We see a significant international cooperation in this field. So here the environmental movement is an international as well as national movement represented by a range of organizations and from enterprises to grassroots and varies, that means changes from country to country. Due to its large membership, varying and strong beliefs, and occasionally speculative nature, the environmental movement is not always united in its goals. So here we can take examples. So first of all, in India many movements are working on different aspects of environment. The environment movement are taking up issues like protection of biodiversity, protecting different sources of water, protection of forest, green belt, pollution of rivers, use of chemicals and their ill effects, etc. Now here for example we can see here the Bishnoi movement, that is a religious sect found in the western Thar desert and northern states in India. Then Chipko movement, it is launched from Gopeshwar in Chamoli district, Uttarakhand in 1973 by rural women. And this Chipko movement, it is a non-violent ecological movement led by predominant by rural women in India, and as a result the region became the center for rising ecological movement in India and ground the world. So here who was the leader for this environmentalist? Chandani Prasad Bhatt and Sundarlal Bahuguna. Now here again the Dr. Rajendra Singh Rana, also known as Waterman of India, has brought water revolution in Rajasthan. He became famous because of building thousands of Johad in Rajasthan, and he received rivers in the desert of Rajasthan. He formed an organization, Tarun Bharat Sangha, which worked for building 11,000 Johad in hundreds of villages. And all over India he started a campaign for the water conservation, revival of waters, forest conservation and wildlife conservation. His social movement is active for last 31 years and he won Stockholm Water Prize, an award known as Nobel Prize of Water. So here we are knowing that we have again Pani Foundation of Amir Khan, and we are knowing that Tufan Alaya, which we are seeing on the Zee Marathi channel. Makarand Anaspure and Nana Patekar have started this Tufan Alaya. Pani Foundation is from Amir Khan. So environment movements, it is for only to save our green world, that is forest world. So we need to save the earth from this cement jungle. Next we are going to see that is the consumer movement. Now what is a consumer? Consumer is a person or a group who intends to orders or uses purchased goods, products or services primarily for personal, social, family, household and similar needs not directly related to the entrepreneurial or business activities. Now, this consumer movement emerged in India after the Consumer Protection Act came into existence in 1986. And this movement has a broad objective. The movement believes that each member of society is a consumer, and due to changing nature of social economic system, consumers face different problems. Now, which are the problems? Adulteration, increased cost of item, frauds in weight and measures are some of the problems. The consumer movement works to protect consumers from such type of frauds. Now there are 8 consumer rights which we need to know. First is right to basic need, right to safety, right to information, right to choose, right to representation, right to redress, right to consumer education, and last, right to healthy environment. So this is about consumer movement. And Ralph Nader, Ralph Nader, he is a father of the modern day consumer movement. Again we will revise this consumer movement. It is an effort to promote consumer protection through an organized social movement which is in many places led by consumer organizations. You can see here in the slides consumer movement. Means sometimes we are getting experience that we go to purchase vegetables like potatoes, onions, tomatoes. So how the vegetable vendor, what he does, removing one tomato or onion or potato, and he is making the fraud in the weight. So we can complain against this. Sometime it can happen that if you are purchasing some of the biscuit packet or milk packet, so what is the price written on it? Shopkeeper takes extra 2 rupees or 5 rupees from you. So you can complain against such shopkeepers and all. You can also join in such consumer movement and you can get a justice. And this lesson's last topic we are going to study, that is movements post 1980. The post 1980 movements were different from earlier movements, and they were issue based movements, and people tried to organize issue based or mass movement. So they are called neo social movement. So here we have seen about that India's waterman, and now here public. Now next one different concept we are going to study, that is public interest litigation. That is, people had no knowledge about the rights granted by the constitution and how to exercise those rights. Now people were ignorant about the relation between law, government and citizens. So Justice P. N. Bhagwati, Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer. They were among the first judges who pioneered PIL. So it is a litigation for the protection of public interest. For the protection of fundamental rights which are enshrined in the Constitution, citizens can file litigation in High Court or Supreme Court, and such a litigation is known as public interest litigation, that is PIL. It is the most effective and economical way of seeking justice. It can be filed for any social problems, so such as violence, pollution, government avoiding the work, and discrimination. So you can use this public interest litigation. So today we have studied tribal movement, trade union, farmers movement, women's movement, environment movement, consumer movement, and movements post 1980. I hope you have understood the social and political movements lesson well. Thank you, students. Very soon your homework is read the lesson. Very soon I will send you the marking of the question answers. Thank you.